it's Anna Lagrange here from the Mindful Breastfeeding School. I wanted to do an episode all about those really difficult breastfeeding situations, whether it's your own experience or whether it's something you're experiencing in the support work you do. There are times when things are not good. There are times when no matter how hard you're trying to make breastfeeding work, how hard you're trying to have the experience, the journey that you desired, doesn't matter how hard a parent is working at breastfeeding their baby and putting in all the things that you're helping them to put in to be able to have to be able to feed their baby in the way that they want to. Sometimes there's these occasions where it's just not gonna cut it. It's just not gonna work, no matter what this person does, no matter what you do. You're not going to meet those goals, whatever they may be. This is a subject very close to my heart because I am breastfeeding. I'm someone who breastfed after having breast reduction surgery. So I knew with my third baby that I was probably going to have breastfeeding challenges. I was hopeful because I'd exclusively breastfed my two older children. So I was hopeful, but there was a lot of things working against me. So I knew there would be some issues, but I was not prepared for how challenging those issues were, how emotional it was for me when it didn't matter what I did, I wasn't going to exclusively breastfeed my daughter. It just wasn't going to happen. There was nothing I could do. I could do a lot of things, but I was never going to reach that goal. And I think it's really useful to speak to everybody about those circumstances when sometimes it isn't just about putting the baby to the breast more. Sometimes it isn't about optimizing the latch. Sometimes there's more complicated things going on. That means that parent, or if it's your experience is that you're not going to be breastfeeding in the way that you envisaged or chest feeding in the way that you envisaged. And that is really hard. And the reason I want to talk about this today is because as breastfeeding professionals, practitioners, supporters, it can also make us feel really rotten when somebody comes to us saying, I need help with breastfeeding, please can you help me? And we give the help, we give lots of ideas, we support, we listen. It's really hard for us as well, obviously not as hard as it is for that parent, but it's also hard for us when we can feel say frustrated, but that isn't the right word. We can feel helpless in helping that person if it becomes evident that the suggestions, our knowledge, the tips, the pointers that we're able to give them, the changes that we can suggest aren't going to necessarily change that situation. Might change that situation, but it's not necessarily going to bring them to the place where they want to be. So it's very difficult for parents. The emotions I was feeling was guilt, shame, just every day waking up feeling like, or every day not waking up, by the end of the day feeling like I was failing. Some really big, strong emotions. People we know experience trauma from their breastfeeding journeys when they have been very, very difficult. We know that people who have breastfeeding problems are at higher risk of postnatal depression, and none of those things surprise me. So what can we do in those situations, both as a parent but also as breastfeeding supporters? How can we use mindful breastfeeding and some of our other skills to be able to offer something to those families when they're in that situation? Now, of course, I would always recommend that somebody in a situation similar to that always works with an IBCLC to be able to pick apart why they're not able to breastfeed as they wanted to, why they're not able to make the amount of milk their baby needs, it can be really helpful to have somebody to with the knowledge, the skills, the expertise to be able to help them to investigate what might be going on for them, their baby, their body. That's crucial. But at the same time, what else can we be doing to help with that emotional area of breastfeeding difficulties? It's not right that I was feeling guilt, shame, frustration, anger, even with myself. It wasn't helpful to anybody. It didn't serve anyone for me to be angry. It didn't serve anyone for me to feel guilty. So one of the things that I worked on personally, with the support of some other people who were, were also breastfeeding after breast reduction, was looking at my mindset and looking at my goals and changing my goals. And at the Mindful Breastfeeding School, we talk a lot about mindset, and we also talk a lot about growth mindset. So what I mean by growth mindset is that idea that things aren't just fixed. We're not either stupid or intelligent. We're not fixed in our intelligence. We're not fixed in what we can learn. We can look at life and look at learning and look at our experiences and look at them as a thing that can grow and change and improve. So that's really important, I think, especially in breastfeeding. And something that can help us with that is changing our perspective. So for me, changing my perspective meant that actually, although my situation didn't change, as in I was never going to be able to exclusively breastfeed my daughter, but what did change was how I felt about myself. Because I had this growth set mentality where instead of saying, well, if I don't exclusively breastfeed her, I'm a failure, instead I said, I'm going to try and get to the maximum amount of milk that I can make. And my mantra was, I give my baby breast milk every feed. Sorry, it could be every day though, depending on the situation. So then I was winning at that instead of failing. Do you see the difference? It's this mindset piece. It was such a simple switch and it was so powerful. The beauty of positive emotions when it comes to lactation is that not only does it make us feel better about ourselves in a loving, kind, caring, nurturing kind of way, it also has a knock-on effect of helping us to release more milk. Oxytocin needs to flow for milk to be released. And oxytocin struggles to flow in stressful situations when our nervous system is on high alert, when we're in our emergency state, our fight, flight, freeze. It's really hard for oxytocin to flow. It's adrenaline and cortisol that tend to be the hormones that are rushing around our body. So by having a mindset change, not only do we help ourselves or help our clients feel better, but we also help lactation to work better, our bodies to work better. And there's a third bonus as well. And that third bonus is that when we are calmer, our babies are calmer. And when we have those more positive hormones flowing, like oxytocin, like dopamine, that our babies, and we're more connected to our babies. We call oxytocin the hormone of love. And the reason for that is because it makes us feel really good. It makes our babies feel really good as well. And that hormone flows through into our milk. But actually, you can just feel oxytocin, that connecting hormone, in the air around you. And, it helps that bonding relationship, which is what all parents want. Parents want to feel close to their little one. And I think it's really useful to know that it's not an easy thing, but by working on switching our mindset to something that's more helpful, productive, and kind to ourselves, and realistic, that it's going to help all of those different areas of our life with our baby. So at the Mindful Breastfeeding School, we have lots of little tools we do to help people work out what might be a good way to shift their mindset. That's exactly the sort of thing that our practitioners do. And another thing that can help in these situations, which are really tough, is self-compassion. Self-compassion is so important to parenting. It makes a huge difference. And I think as time goes on, parents are generally feeling less compassionate about themselves. I think with the social media presence, looking at what's going on in other people's lives so much, kind of aim for perfect parenting, this idea that you're either this type of parent or this type of parent, or, you know, all of that stuff feels quite competitive. And when we first have a baby, we can feel really quite lost and confused. We may be getting information from lots of different sources. That's the curse of the internet and Google, but also just from different professionals telling us different things. They can feel really confusing, and we can start to easily feel like, you know, we're failing at this and we're not doing very well, and it can become quite stressful. And I've already explained to you what stress does to the lactating body and also to our connection with babies. So having a practice of self-compassion can make a huge difference in these areas. And I've worked with many families as an IBCLC where the actual metrics of breastfeeding, like how much milk that baby's getting from the mother's body, hasn't changed, or how much milk that mother's pumping hasn't necessarily changed. But what's changed is how she's treating herself, how she's feeling about herself, what she's saying to herself. And that also can come from a mindset shift, but there's lots of tools, mindfulness type tools, that we can use with parents that help them to feel more compassion towards themselves, more love, more care, more kindness. And of course, when we're in difficult circumstances, when things are really challenging, what we need is love, compassion, nurturing. And that's why it's really important that we learn how to give that to ourselves, because it's not necessarily always going to come from other people. Hopefully it does. But it's really important that we're kind to ourselves as well, and that we have tools to do that. So that's something else that we do at the Mindful Breastfeeding School. We have tools that can help people to move their nervous system into a more relaxed nervous system where they are calmer and that oxytocin is able to flow, and where they feel more connected with their baby and with their loved ones. And we sprinkle in self-compassion, affirming words, compassionate words, kind words that make them feel loved and make them feel safe. And it's in that environment that people are more accepting of their circumstances. And that's not to say when breastfeeding is difficult, it goes wrong, we should just accept what's happening. I'm talking very much here about those cases where we've had the support, we've found out what the reasons are that breastfeeding isn't working out. Some of that stuff can sometimes be really hard. This is about the supportive piece underneath that, the self-compassion, the how can we make that particular situation where it may feel like there's nothing else that can be done actually within the people. And I say people because I'm not just talking about, it affects the whole family. We can work with the breastfeeding parent on their feelings and emotions. The impact is felt by everybody, and first really the baby. So we're working with the whole family here and giving them these underlying tools that don't take away the pain, the grief. You know, it still acknowledges how hard this is and how difficult. We don't want to erase that, but it's giving that emotional support and safety within the same frame. So I actually, when we created the Mindful Breastfeeding School and we were creating it for a antenatal course, that was originally what I had in mind, that mindful breastfeeding was going to be for breastfeeding education. But it soon turned into something else, because as soon as I started using these tools with parents in my practice, they just blew me away because they're so flexible, so simple, which is really important for a new parent, and just so powerful that they really can help as long as somebody's open to trying something and taking some time out. It doesn't have to be a lot, it can just be a few minutes a day, to use some tools that lead them to feel more kind and compassionate towards themselves. Then they work for everybody, and they really are simple, powerful, make such a big difference for the families that I work for. And I know now that for the families that our practitioners work for as well. So if this is something that interests you, if you would like to if you're a parent who would like to access some mindful breastfeeding tools, then do have a look at our directory, because there's lots of practitioners there waiting to work with you. If you are somebody who offers breastfeeding support and you would like to add some of the tools I'm talking about to your practice, then I'm going to put the link below so that you can come and take a look at our courses. And I would absolutely love to have a chat with you about it. So you can always book in a call with me anytime. Okay, it's been lovely chatting to you all today, and I will see you next week. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your spending your time here. If you'd like to know more, a good place to start would be with the Mindful Breastfeeding book. It's available from Amazon around the world, and it's a short interactive guide to mindful breastfeeding with journaling and guided relaxations and just more talk on the importance of having a calm and connected infant feeding experience. You can find our website at www.mindfulbreastfeedingschool.com. The link is below, and on there you'll get access to our practitioners directory. So if you as a parent and you'd like to work with somebody who's trained in mindful breastfeeding skills, as well as all the practical skills as well, to be able to help you on your infant feeding journey, then you will find someone you can work with there. They also run classes as well as one-to-one sessions, so go and have a look around. And you can find access to our courses. So if you are somebody who would like to add mindful breastfeeding to your practice, then please do come and find our courses. We've got free training on there for professionals and birth workers, as well as access to be able to talk to me. So do leave me messages, do get in touch on social media. All the links are below. I look forward to hearing from you.